Former Rivers State Administrator Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas has rejected moves by the Rivers State House of Assembly to probe government spending during the 6-month tenure under emergency rule. Lawmakers led by Speaker Martin Amewule had resolved to investigate how funds, including 254.37 billion naira from federal allocations, were utilized. Civil society groups have also demanded accountability, citing stalled projects despite the huge inflows. They accused Ibas of mismanaging state resources and called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara to establish a panel of inquiry. They also pressed financial regulatory agencies to scrutinize the state's finances during the period. Responding through his media aide, Ibas dismissed the probe as a fool's errand, arguing that he acted on behalf of the president and was supervised by the National Assembly. He maintained that the lawmakers lacked the authority to question his stewardship since they were not responsible for his appointment.
Have you just seen what I was pointing at before?
Okay.
If they wanted to know, definitely they will know. Either they know it through Ibas or they know it through the National Assembly. Yeah, that supervised him during his time. Now, some of the people, like the civil society organizations, CSOs, that are calling for Ibas to set up a panel of investigation or inquiry, to look into Ibas administration. And the question is how? I was making this plea over time, far before, or I think about 3 months or 4 months ago. I said nobody can dare that because Ibas is not sitting on his own. He was acting on proxy.
Okay.
Ibas was, in fact, the Mr. President was governing Rivers State for 6 months through Ibas. And since National Assembly is the only constituted body to supervise Mr. President, it was the National Assembly that was supervising Ibas. Do you now see where the powers of State Assembly could be a bit, if I may say, shaky? So, if you are asking Fubara to establish, set up a panel of inquiry, against who? Against Ibas or against Mr. President, to whom he had just run? Those who are advising Mr. Governor should be careful. I fought in the side of Mr. Governor.
Okay.
So vehemently. And I have not, watching him during the state of emergency, I left everything about the governor and focused on the emergency rule and the administration of Ibas. And now the governor is back. We pick him up again. Because it is he who is playing in the field that will clap for and yell at. When you miss penalty, we'll yell at you. When you miss scoring chances, we'll yell at you. When you do a proper passing, we clap at you, we'll clap for you. When you save goal from the opponent, we'll clap for you. When you score for us, we'll clap for you. So it is he who plays on the field that will respond to. Now that the governor has come back, we are picking him up again. And he has made some fantastic moves from his speech. When I was discussing his speech, with a correspondent somewhere, a reporter, I gave it to the governor. Whoever wrote that speech for him, I gave that person 100%.
Okay. Why?
Because he cut across, he returned based on peace pact. And in discussing peace, our people say when you are treating eye problem, you don't put pepper in that medicine.
Okay.
Since we are talking about peace, he made sure that he recognized all the players, the civil society, the religious body, the women group, youth group, simplified, wikematic, all the groups, elders and whatever you call yourself, he recognized your input and ended up by saying, I have resisted the pressure. I have resisted the pressure to act this way, or that way. Those pressures were coming from some of the fighters, some of the foot soldiers during the crisis.
Okay.
And now we are maintaining peace. The onus lies on the governor to take prerogatives. And he has chosen to do that. That even while they were mounting pressures on him, he said, no, I'll go this way. I concede this. There is no price too much to pay for the peace of Rivers people. That is to know a man who has the interests of his people at heart. And he came up to say that the costliest peace, most expensive peace, is better than the cheapest war. When these statements are coming, I was expecting some of the people that are farming the ember of war to look into some of these statements and analyze them. So thank God that the sayers will say their sayings and the doer will do his doings. The governor is the one holding the knife and the yam.
But Mr. Nze, I want to ask, Ibas says this move is a fool's errand.
To me, that was a hasty response from Ibas.
Okay. Why do you think
Ibas, at least, he's a man I respect. He's a man of the sea. And that's the angle I'm coming from, too. So, as a retired chief of naval staff, he has seen a lot.
Okay.
And now he had the opportunity of serving as a sole administrator. That is the office, his office was equal to the office of a governor.
You say so?
Yeah. The office of the sole administrator of a state is equal with the office of a governor. And in fact, to an extent, he seemed to have more powers. Because in his own case, some constitution was dropped.
Yeah, I was to come to that.
Yeah,
because
some constitution was dropped for him to flow. You understand? But for the governor, you see that when the Supreme Court gave their judgment, they said there was no governance in Rivers State. Because the governor was not carrying the 27 lawmakers along. Even when the governor was claiming that he had 4 on his side, and those 4 passed the appropriation for him, Supreme Court said, we don't recognize those ones. They are a group of friends. Which was against my stand. But what shall I do? As abiding citizen of this country, as a patriotic citizen of this country, as a lover of this country called Nigeria, I have to abide by the rules of the highest court in the land. If not, one will seek redress in a higher court. The Supreme Court is final. So they have given their judgment and they said there is no governance in Rivers State for this close to 2 years. Because the assembly led by Admiral was not carried along. Even when we said that Admiral defected, and by so doing, they lost their, this thing, according to the constitution. I'm trying to point the limitations the governor had that does not affect the sole administration. So to me, sole administration is like a step or 2 higher than the governor.
So are you trying to say the sole administrator was given a yardstick to do whatever he wants to do if some part of the constitutions were laid down to allow him rule?
Yes, not completely. Remember, we were careful to point some.
Okay.
We were careful to say some of the constitution, not the entire constitution. So the areas that the constitution was subpoenaed for him to thrive, you can't hold him there. And one of them is that he can govern without the state assembly. Yeah, he can govern without state assembly. And now National Assembly that is coming to supervise him, remember, they have other duties going on that has to do with their constituency. Now, the ad hoc committee that were assigned to work with Ibas, now we're like carrying overload. And when a man is carrying overload, you know what happens to him. He will be struggling to sustain power strength.
Okay.
So when we look at such, we'll come to believe that to an extent, the sole administrator has some leverages. And some benefits that the governor may not have.
Mr. Nze, what's your idea of the dictatorship?
Dictatorship is not completely like the work of the administrator. In dictatorship, constitution does not stand.
Constitution does not stand
at all.
At all.
It is the decision of the Supreme Council that stands, that holds sway. decision of, which means they can sleep this night and wake up early in the morning. And say that East-West Road supposed to be cut into two. And by evening, it is cut into two. Without maybe bringing the paper to the assembly to look at and things like that. You know?
Okay.
They'll just decide that. They may wake up tomorrow morning and say that this television studio should not function again. And you have nowhere to go. You run to court. Court may give judgment. They will refuse to listen to the court.
Okay.
And there's nothing court can do about it. That is dictatorship. But in sole administrator work, some of the constitutions that may hinder his free flow, this is like a doctrine of necessity. It's like a doctrine of necessity where you will need your enemy to operate your mother.
Okay.
Are you seeing to that? Now, this doctor, you know you are in enmity with him. But your mother is about to die and there is no doctor around. You say, my friend, operate my mother. And you see your enemy doing it. Sometimes he may not do it the way you want.
Like at his own whims and caprices.
Yeah, he'll do it at his own whims and caprices. And there's nothing you can do about it. All you want is that my mother should live. Are you getting me?
Okay.
And at the end of the day, the person finishes and walks away. And your mother is living.
And I don't have a right to ask him, okay, what did he do?
He may not respond to you because you are in enmity. So it's like a doctrine of necessity. So now that this thing happened in the River State, you see, I know where Ibas is driving his powers to say that this is fool's errand.
Okay, and where is that?
He is seeing that the assembly who just returned have not even balanced themselves to ask questions. As I know that they were observing everything that was happening.
Okay, yeah.
But they have not sat as assembly that is instituted by law or by constitution. The first time they are sitting, they were giving those orders.
Is it out of place?
It is not out of place, but I believe that Ibas, in his mind, might think they should have asked questions now. They have assembly members. This is a State House of Assembly.
Okay.
That is taking charge of River State. They have National Assembly members in the State House of Reps, and then National House of Reps. They have assembly members in the Senate. They should have called these people together and say, this thing that happened, how do we handle it? Are you getting me?
I am.
And those people will return back and ask one or two of their colleagues, how do we go about this? How do we advise our State Assembly to handle this? How do we advise our state? And by the time this, because look, in politics, you must politic according to the norms of the politics of your land.
Okay.
If you politic contrary to the norms of the politics in your land, you hit brick rock or brick wall. So I had this, Ibas must have, maybe, let me just borrow my thoughts to Ibas, that he might have thought they should have done all these things. And by the time they finish, their language might not be the same as it was in the last speech of Mr. Speaker. So for now, he dismissed it. To me, the word fool's errand was insulting. So, and which, if the assembly, led by Martins Amoyole, did not tread with caution, a full-blown war might be triggered in River State again. But now it will be war between the assembly, State Assembly, and the national executive, not state executive now.
Okay.
It will not be a war between the State Assembly and the national executive. Because the last war that just ended was between the State Assembly and the State executive. So if the war now moves to the federal, how do you think it will be? And these assembly members that just returned from suspension by the national. So look, this is becoming complex. How I wish that Amoyole is watching, and some of the assembly members are watching us. And they're also, putting is and was together.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
I am.
So that they don't plunge River State into another crisis. If you must investigate Ibas, there must be a way you do that.
Which is?
Consultations first. After consultations, even Ibas will know that as it stands now, my dear, you were sent by someone, and the person is telling you, go and explain to them. Then you go and do that. Than using the statement you just used, that their threat is a fool's errand. Meaning what? After all, who is sending that errand? Are you referring to Yeso Wike? Because already there is this perception that Ibas is coming from the angle of the Senate president. So this Cold War that is being perceived, could be let loose. Now, if the state assembly are running around for FCT minister and the Ibas, the administrator, sole administrator, outside sole administrator, or retired sole administrator, whichever one you call him, or served sole administrator, is now working for Mr. President of the Senate.
Allegedly.
Because I'm trying to open the mind of some of our listeners.
Okay.
What if this and this? We are not saying they are, but what if? Now, if Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is in charge, to whom the FCT minister submits as a serving minister, you understand, has given approval to the nominee of Mr. President of the Senate, to the disapproval of the FCT minister. And being that the FCT minister is working under this, under the Mr. President, he had to accept it and remain quiet.
Okay.
Now that the period had elapsed, now assembly will come up. Definitely, Akpabio will rise. And Mr. President is the one that gave Akpabio the right. How do you think that war will end? And I wouldn't want it to start first, to begin to think of how it will end. That's why you see me analyzing it from this angle. So that all the observers, all the listeners, all those who are watching, will go back and use their teeth to count their tongue.
Alright.
You see the let them use their teeth, not to use their tongue this time around, because tongue is singular. The teeth is, there are plenty. So, let them put their heads together and count the number of tongues tongue that is in their mouth.
So, Mr. Nze, in a nutshell, you're saying the River State House of Assembly isn't out of place asking for.
They are not out of place, but the manner in which they are coming about it should be properly checked.
All right.
And also, the statement of Ibas, to me, is embarrassing. It shouldn't have come from a man of such, height. No, you don't dismiss the State Assembly just like that, in such an embarrassing way, simply because you felt you have the backings of National Assembly and the executive.
That was the angle I was coming from.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
All right,
but people who said they will do this are not wrong. But the way you do it, please let it be within the ambits of the law.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nze, for your opinion.